when we were making the band album, and we rented Sammy Davis Jr.'s house in Los Angeles, and we could all live together in this house, big house. I think he had a lot of kids or something, but it was a big house. Right. And then there was a pool house. And we turned the pool house into a studio, a recording studio. And this place became a sanctuary where we could cut off the world. We were all together. And the music that we were able to make while being in that zone was so together, was so... The effect that it's had on music to this day is quite extraordinary, and I'm so proud of that. And this is when the brotherhood was at its peak to me. So I don't know, I just hold that very warmly in my heart.
And the year was about when?
1969.
And name me two or three of the pieces of music that came out of what I'll call the pool house.
And with no name.
Yeah,
Mo
we did
for supporting the Last Waltz.
Creek,
David Geffen for helping reunite Bob in the band.
Rag Mama Rag.
And Albert Grossman for his kitchen.
Pines. I mean, this whole album
and his
is
guidance,
like a journey
and for actually starting the whole Woodstock thing.
There. And it was when people started referring to our music as Americana, and it became a thing. And now there's a category called Americana. Right. It all came out of Sammy Davis Jr.'s pool house.
As unlikely as that might appear to be possible.
That's right.
But your music and the band's music is an important part of what we now call Americana. To me, it is, on the one hand, is a throwback to the time of somebody's written French fries, juke joints, roadhouses, and carries us forward through the blues, folk music period, on into rock and roll, and then beyond. Now that's what, when you say Americana, means to me. And to me, that's the chord that the band struck, that nobody else in music quite struck it so regularly and so well.
I've thought of it as our gumbo, that we took all the musics that we gathered playing on the road all those years before we made music from Big Pink, playing all the Chitlin circuit and all the way up to Canada, and hearing these shape note singers, hearing this mountain music, hearing these gospel choirs, hearing all of these musics and taking it all in and gathering and gathering and gathering. And then even some global music and all of these things. And then when we made music, it was part of the ingredients in there.
In the gumbo.
And we put it all in this big pot, stirred it up, and when we put it out, and people were like, "What's that?" And I said, "What that is, that's people that have woodshedded and gathered and honed their skills, all in the name of music. This has nothing to do with wanting to be a pop star. This has to do with the depth of a musicality, and all of the guys in the band were on that wavelength, and that's how come we were able to do that together." So when I was 16 years old, I took a train from Canada down to the Mississippi Delta, and there was a band, a southern group called Ronnie Hawkins and the Hawks, and they were considering hiring me. I was 16 years old. I was too young to play in the places they played. I wasn't a good enough guitar player to take over as lead guitar, and I was Canadian. There's no Canadians in southern rock and roll bands. It's illegal, I think, yeah. But anyway, I came into this world, and to me, going to the South like that was like going to the Holy Land of rock and roll. So I thought, I've arrived. And I worked so hard and got pretty good pretty quick. And Ronnie Hawkins ended up saying, "I'm going to hire you."
Well, what a good history. And that made of you whom?
It made me.
The legendary guitarist, songwriter, a singer, and a man with a soothing voice, a talented Robbie Robertson, who led the Canadian-American group band, that is the band, to rock prominence during the 70s, 80s, and of course the early 90s. And he, by the way, even played with Bob Dylan, has died. According to the reports that are coming in, he was 80 years old. According to the announcement that has been actually posted by his management on his social media pages, Robertson died on Wednesday in Los Angeles after a long battle with health-related illness. In a statement, Robertson's manager of 34 years, that is Mr. Jared Levin, said Robbie was surrounded by his family at the time of his death, including his wife Janet, his ex-wife Dominic, her partner Nicholas, his children Alexandra, Sebastian, Delphine's partner Kenny, and of course everyone within the family. He is also survived by his so many grandchildren: Angelica, Donovan, Dominic, Gabriel, Serafina. So Robertson recently completed his 14th film music project with frequent collaborator, that is Martin Scorsese of the Killers of the Flower Moon. In lieu of flowers, the family has come out and said they asked that donations be made to the Six Nations of the Grand River to support a new woodland culture center. So after the band, in which he was playing in 1976 farewell concert at the Last Waltz, that was captured on film by Scorsese, Robertson worked with the director as a composer, music supervisor, and of course a music producer, starting in the 1980 on films including, I remember there was, I think, Raging Bull, The King of Comedy, The Color of Money, Gangs of New York, and so many other. By the way, there is even the one I'd forgotten, The Departed. So he was really very talented. His works actually can be seen in those so many movies. You can also, by the way, go look at another movie known as Killers of the Flower of Moon. All the music that was in there was composed and supervised by Robertson. So indeed, it's really very sad losing such a talented man. He was 80 years old, like I've told you, and his works can be actually checked out on various social media. You can check them out. He played with Bob Dylan and so many other talented artists. So in this moment in time, we are going to be sending our deepest condolences to the family, friends, and everyone who was close to Robertson. We'll be bringing you all the funeral arrangements in case the family avails them. Rest in power, the King, Robbie Robertson.